She was the head cheerleader.
What's up, baby?
And he was a star football player.
It's a classic high school love story. This beautiful cheerleader and this handsome jock at the top of their league.
It was like a budding storybook romance.
But there would be no happily ever after.
My daughter, I can't find her.
Something wasn't right.
Nobody knows what happened.
And the truth is almost too terrifying to believe.
She met someone online.
They had made plans to meet in person.
But was he who he claimed to be?
Sometimes we just don't know who people are.
Or would her killer be found in the least likely place?
He checked himself voluntarily into a psych ward.
Because look where my mind is going.
He had been looking into serial killers.
The medications took him to a dark place.
He had no control over his anger.
Did you say anything? You can please.
August 27th, 2018. It's a hot summer day in Missouri City, Texas, a sprawling suburban town of 70,000, a half-hour southwest of Houston.
We have a lot of people that are moving here. They want the big city feel, but with a small town atmosphere.
It's a friendly town. A lot of good people work and live here.
There's so much room for opportunity and growth.
But sometimes, in the middle of all that growth, the wrong opportunity can arise. Around 7 o'clock that evening, Missouri City 911 receives a panicked call from a mother desperate to find her daughter.
A woman calls because her daughter hasn't returned home like she was supposed to.
The missing girl is 19-year-old Sabrina Herrera.
She had had lunch with her mother earlier that day.
And what made you think she was missing?
She was supposed to pick up my son from the bus stop, and she never got there.
The brother called their mother, and the mother then started to make phone calls.
She called her daughter repeatedly, but Sabrina never answered, nor did she call her back.
That's not like her.
She was very organized, very mindful, and so for her to not pick up her little brother from school, that's highly unusual.
She lived for work.
Sabrina!
When Sabrina's mother came home, she went to Sabrina's room and saw that her work uniform was still on her bed.
Sabrina's mom is frantic.
She had no idea where her daughter was.
But she did have a way to find out.
Because they both had iPhones, they would share each other's location.
Her mom was able to use a GPS tracking device on her phone to pinpoint where her daughter was located.
Or so she'd thought.
I can't find her, but I found her car and all her belongings.
Her purse was still there, her phone was there.
The car keys are in there?
Yes.
I can imagine that fear just increasing, what's happening, what's happened to Sabrina.
Barely out of high school, Sabrina Herrera had big plans for her future.
At that young age, you're about to break out into the world.
She was getting ready to leave a world that was very comfortable and go into a world of the unknown, but she was ready to embrace it.
She'd already proven that she was up to the challenge.
At the beginning of her junior year, she had transferred to a new high school.
As you can imagine, being a teenager transferring to a new school, that's tough.
But not for Sabrina.
Hey, good morning. Hey. See you later.
Everyone who met Sabrina instantly fell in love with her.
She actually flourished, and she made the most of her experience.
She was on the high school dance team. She was captain of the cheerleading team.
Hey.
She also found a new boyfriend.
It started out just as teenage puppy love.
A year older than Sabrina, Troy Parker was already a big man on campus.
Troy was an outstanding athlete. He was very good in what he did on the football field.
He had some aspirations to become a professional football player.
It seemed like fate that they would end up together.
It's a classic high school love story. Sabrina was the high school cheerleader and Troy was the captain of the football team.
They were like a star couple.
2 popular kids in school, just feeling like they had it all.
The couple stayed together even after Troy graduated.
What started as a high school romance blossomed, and this relationship that she had with Troy was her first real, mature, adult-type relationship.
Once she graduated, Sabrina started taking classes at a Houston community college.
She was thinking about being a nurse.
She wanted to help people. She wanted to serve. That speaks volumes to her character.
She also took a job at a local grocery store.
She's working a full-time job. She's getting a regular paycheck. She's got courses where she sets her own schedule. She can pretty much do what she wants to do at this time in her life.
And what she wanted most of all was Troy.
It was hard for her to see herself without him in her life because this was starting to be that type of relationship where you start making plans for a family and a future.
After I get my nursing degree, we should definitely talk about having kids.
Really?
Yeah.
While Troy's plan of playing pro ball didn't pan out, he encouraged Sabrina to pursue her dreams.
This is going to be a fairy tale union, and they were going to grow up and have a family and have that storybook marriage.
Sabrina was over the moon.
But now, just 1 month into her freshman year of college, the teen has gone missing, and her mother has found Sabrina's car abandoned.
It was parked at a dead end in a quiet street in a neighborhood approximately 2 miles from her home.
Her phone is here, her wallet, and her keys.
And there's no sign of her daughter.
She knew that something was wrong.
When police arrive a few minutes later, they find everything as Sabrina's mom reported.
The keys to the car were still there. Her wallet was there, her phone.
They ultimately decide this couldn't be a robbery. There's something else going on.
But this isn't a missing persons case either.
I didn't check the trunk.
At a suggestion of the mother, the officer pops the trunk. It does not open all the way at first, so he has to go back and actually lift it up.
Oh my God, Sabrina!
Within that trunk laid Sabrina Herrera.
That's my baby, Sabrina!
19-year-old Sabrina Herrera was making a great start in life.
She had a lot going for herself.
She's got a great job. She's going to good school.
She was also in a long-term relationship with her high school boyfriend, Troy Parker.
They've been talking about saving up for a house and starting a family.
They were a happy couple, a football player and a cheerleader. It's one of those things that should have turned out to be a fairy tale with a happy ending.
Instead, Sabrina's story has ended in a nightmare.
Oh my God, Sabrina!
Police have found Sabrina inside the trunk of her car.
She's not breathing. She is deceased.
At this point, it's no longer a missing persons report. Now we know it's a homicide.
That's my baby, Sabrina!
And her mother knows too.
The grief and anguish at that moment is unbelievable.
Her mother may have to relive that over and over because those images may never leave.
While patrol officers wait for homicide detectives to arrive, they face the difficult task of keeping Sabrina's mother away from her daughter.
She's frantic, and she's trying to get to Sabrina.
Sabrina!
It's very important that police keep everyone away because the police need to preserve any evidence that's left.
Her mom was put in a patrol car and taken down to the station to wait and give a formal statement to the police.
When homicide detectives arrive on the scene, they begin by examining Sabrina's body.
It was determined that her cause of death was a result of strangulation.
They saw the markings on her neck.
The evidence also suggests she was knocked down and then attacked from behind.
The detectives found a shoe print on the back of Sabrina's shirt.
The attacker had stepped on her back for leverage. when he strangled her.
Although prior to being overpowered, it appears that Sabrina had done her best to fight back.
Sabrina had defensive marks on her right hand and her eye was bruised.
Those marks were clear indication that she was fighting for her life.
Detectives are also able to determine an approximate time of death.
Sabrina had been killed at least a few hours before her body was found.
But that's about all that detectives are immediately able to determine from the crime scene.
There was no other evidence associated with who could have caused this murder.
Although the scene does tell detectives a few other things about the crime.
There were these items that were still in the car, the purse and some other valuables. That indicated that this was not a robbery.
This was a direct attack against Sabrina.
Looking for more information, detectives begin knocking on doors in the area where the killer abandoned Sabrina's car.
One of the big tools for investigations is canvassing the area where the crime occurred to see if neighbors or if businesses have cameras.
Yeah, I think my camera looks right at that spot.
They did have video footage showing where Sabrina's car was parked at that dead end.
The video shows the car pulling to a stop exactly where it's found by police, and a black male exiting the vehicle.
He parked the car at around 20 minutes after 3 and simply abandoned the vehicle.
It appears in the video that this male is holding a black bag as he's walking away.
He exited the frame in a hurry, heading toward a walking trail that led into the woods.
Unfortunately, the video quality is so low that the police are unable to obtain an accurate identity of this person.
The only thing that they had at that point was it was a black male.
Thank you. Could you email that to us?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Detectives turn next to Sabrina's mother back at the precinct.
The investigators had showed the video to Sabrina's mom to see if she could recognize the man who got out of the car.
The video is so far away that not even Sabrina's mother can identify who this person is.
I'm sorry.
While Sabrina's mom doesn't recognize the man in the video, detectives hope she can provide some clues.
The next step for police was to find out who was in Sabrina's circle. Was there anybody that they felt had a vendetta against Sabrina?
Everybody loved her.
She was a very giving young lady, very bright. She didn't have any enemies.
What about boyfriends? Was she seeing anyone?
Well, not anymore.
Sabrina's mom told police that Sabrina had broken up with Troy, her long-term boyfriend, a few weeks earlier.
The recent breakup raises an immediate red flag for detectives.
Was there trouble?
No, it wasn't like that.
It was their understanding. It had been mutual.
She felt that Sabrina and Troy were okay with that breakup, that they were going to mutually go their separate ways.
Plus, Sabrina's mom says that her daughter had recently told her about someone new.
His name was Brandon, and Sabrina met him online.
They were starting to get to know each other.
According to her mom, Sabrina and Brandon had been making plans to meet in person.
Well, did you know when they were supposed to meet?
No. All she ever told me was he seemed like a nice guy.
But could he also be a killer?
He had a great profile, but you never know what lies underneath.
Sabrina's family was concerned because of the fact that she met someone on social media. Her family was a little worried about who is this person that you just met and that we don't know? Who is Brandon? Who is this new person on the scene? Because he's new, Sabrina's missing, and now she's dead.
Detectives investigating Sabrina Herrera's murder have just learned that the 19-year-old recently met a man online.
All she ever told me was He seemed like a nice guy.
Some of the dangers surrounding meeting people online is that you never really know who's on the other side of the computer.
You're not always guaranteed to be talking to who you think you're talking to.
The 19-year-old girl, especially as beautiful as she was, she would have been the perfect target for a predator online.
Did Sabrina ever show you any pictures of this guy?
No.
Sabrina's mom was not able to provide any more information to police officers other than the fact that this man's first name supposedly is Brandon.
We ultimately don't know who he is. There could be some deception.
Hoping to learn more about the mysterious Brandon, detectives turned to Sabrina's social media activity. Before she left, Sabrina's mom was able to provide them with the passwords to access her daughter's accounts.
Sabrina's mom was eager to do everything possible to help the investigation and learn who killed Sabrina.
Once they're able to see her messages, detectives quickly identify their suspect.
They find that she had been communicating with a man named Brandon Fuller.
Brandon was older. He's a 26-year-old man.
Maybe that's why Sabrina didn't share too many details about him with her mother.
But it's other details in Sabrina and Brandon's online chatting that catch the detectives' attention.
According to the messages between the two, on the day that Sabrina disappeared, she was finally supposed to meet him in person.
She's supposed to meet Brandon that day, and then Sabrina shows up missing and then dead.
Could it simply be a coincidence? Or could Brandon be their killer?
They wanted to know more about him, and they start looking into who Brandon was at his social media.
Almost immediately, his profile picture seems vaguely familiar.
His physique is similar to that of the individual in the surveillance camera found dropping off Sabrina's car.
Digging deeper only increases their suspicion.
There was gang-affiliated type posts, a lot of posts that just gave them cause for concern.
It's not entirely an act either.
When the police pull Brandon's background check, they find that he has been arrested on several occasions.
It's definitely a cause for concern.
Finding an address for Brandon in his criminal record, detectives set out to conduct an interview.
When the police arrive at this location, there's a woman living there who says that she doesn't know who Brandon is.
Who? I don't even know Brandon.
You mind if we take a look around?
Sure.
The woman says, I don't know a Brandon. I've never heard of a Brandon, and Brandon doesn't live here.
A quick glance around suggests she's telling the truth.
Yeah, I think we ought to put a call in on that one.
There's no sign that Brandon resides at this address.
Using Brandon's DMV records, police issue an alert for his vehicle.
The next morning, after the Be on the Lookout was issued, a patrol unit spotted a vehicle matching the description.
They pull the car over and ask him to come with them to the police department.
He's very combative, does not want to cooperate, and does not understand why police brought him in.
But his attitude changes when the detectives tell him why he's there.
Once he learns that Sabrina has been murdered, his entire tone changes.
She's dead? We was just supposed to go on a date. I just thought she stood me up.
Brandon felt like, well, maybe she just blew me off. And when he tried to call her, there was no response.
And that made you mad?
Not really.
Brandon tells police that they've only exchanged a few messages.
She made a post online, and I checked the profile, then I sent her a DM.
That was pretty much the extent of their communications.
So that's something you do often? You meet women online?
Wait, are you trying to pin this on me?
Brandon again becomes combative and says, I just met Sabrina. I wouldn't have any reason to harm her.
Am I under arrest?
No.
When they say no, Brandon tells police if they want to continue this conversation, they're going to have to get a warrant.
Then, as he turns to leave, Brandon says something that will shift the investigation into an entirely new direction.
I'm not the one you should be looking at.
He says you guys have the wrong guy.
You should be looking at Troy Parker.
Detectives investigating the murder of 19-year-old Sabrina Herrera have spent the last hour questioning Brandon Fuller, an older man she'd met online after breaking up with her longtime boyfriend, Troy Parker.
We was just supposed to go on a date. I just thought she stood me up.
Brandon seemed upset when the police told him Sabrina was dead, but he said he'd never met her in person.
Now, after detectives asked for an alibi, Brandon has stormed out of the interview.
Brandon eventually got to the point where it was, am I being arrested? If not, then you're gonna have to get a warrant to keep me here.
Police are concerned that Brandon's lack of helpfulness points to some type of guilt and that he was possibly involved in Sabrina's murder.
Detectives also aren't sure what to make of the last thing Brandon said as he walked out the door.
You should be looking at Troy Parker.
As he was leaving, he made a point to note that I'm not the one you should be looking at. You should be looking at her ex.
Detectives are surprised that he even knows about her ex. Had Sabrina told Brandon about Troy in their online chats?
Was it possible that Brandon knew something that the detectives didn't? Or was he just pointing his finger at Troy to take the heat off of himself?
Either way, detectives will need to follow up.
They want to take a look into Troy and see if there's any truth to the allegations made by Brandon.
Before detectives confront Troy, they reach out to other members of Sabrina's family with more questions.
Because Sabrina and Troy had been dating all through high school, Sabrina's family, in essence, watched Troy grow up as a member of their family.
No one had anything bad to say about Troy, and many of them were shocked when they had broken up.
Sensing they could be chasing a false lead, detectives decide to go straight to the source.
At that point, they went to Troy's home.
Troy was still living with his parents, so it was easy for police officers to find him.
We need to ask you a few questions about Sabrina.
Yeah, I heard about what happened.
He seemed concerned, but he was very flat in his demeanor.
They also noticed that, same as Brandon, he had a similar height and build to the man in the surveillance video.
We heard that you and Sabrina had broken up a few weeks ago. We figured it was best.
Troy was clear that they had both agreed to go their separate ways and that he wanted to pursue football and that she had already started pursuing a career in nursing.
Troy says that their breakup was mutual, but he still cared about her.
Then he says something that catches their attention.
Well, when was the last time that you saw her?
She stopped by Monday afternoon.
Troy admits that he saw Sabrina a few hours before her body was found.
He said she dropped by his house to pick up a few of her things.
But she only stayed for like 15 minutes.
What did you do after she left?
Well, I had a game.
Troy said he went to go play football in Sienna Plantation.
The town of Sienna Plantation is about 20 minutes away from Troy's house.
He claimed he got there at a little after 3 o'clock.
Surveillance video from the crime scene had placed Sabrina's killer dumping her car at the same time.
Now, if what Troy was telling them was true, he couldn't have been the man in the surveillance video.
An alibi isn't all that Troy offers detectives.
Troy allowed police to look at his text messages.
Based on the messages, it appeared that the split really was amicable, just like everyone said.
There was nothing hostile between the two of them texting back and forth.
The texts also suggest he knew nothing about her death.
Police saw that Troy had texted Sabrina after she was found murdered.
Yeah, I was worried when she didn't text me back. I just kind of figured, maybe something was wrong with her phone.
The police, they're not having much reason to doubt Troy's version of events. He seems pretty genuine.
But they still need to check out his alibi, just to be certain.
Investigators went and spoke with Troy's teammates.
The police asked his friends, did Troy come and play with you? They corroborated, yes, he had gone to play with them.
However, their timeline differed from Troy's.
He showed up kind of late. About four.
They said that Troy did play football, but it was after 4 p.m.
That hour difference could potentially change the game.
It gave him enough time to actually commit the murder.
Theoretically, Troy had time to abandon Sabrina's car and go back and play football at Sienna Plantation.
His alibi is falling apart.
There may be something he's not telling us.
And it isn't long before the detectives learn just what that something is.
Sabrina's cousin came by the station.
She has information that could be helpful.
Sabrina had confided in her that Troy had been abusive.
She didn't want to tell me, but I saw what he had done to her.
Detectives in Missouri City, Texas have not only discovered that Sabrina Herrera's ex-boyfriend, Troy Parker, may have had the time to murder the teenager. Her cousin has also come forward with a shocking allegation.
Sabrina's cousin tells the investigators that Sabrina confided in her and told her that Troy had been abusive during their relationship.
She let her know that Troy became very jealous and possessive.
The news takes detectives by surprise.
Sabrina's mom had nothing but nice things to say about Troy and the way that he treated Sabrina.
I don't think they knew.
Sabrina's cousin knew the truth about what was really going on when everyone else thought this was just the ideal relationship.
According to Sabrina's cousin, as the high school sweethearts grew older, they grew apart.
Relationships are up and down. It's not always the fairy tale we think it is.
When you're dealing with domestic violence, usually you can boil down the motive to a few things. One is simply control. The abuser likes to control their victim.
It starts with small things, maybe with verbal aggressions or bullying, and we think it's gonna stop and we think we can control it. But more often than not, it escalates.
And too often, it escalates in silence.
A lot of teenagers are not reporting what's going on with them.
They don't want to cause problems. They want people around them to feel as though everything is okay.
Sabrina's cousin says she'd only learned the truth by accident.
She didn't want to tell me, but I saw what he had done to her.
She had these bruises on her legs, and her cousin asked her, what's this about? She lied at first.
Sabrina brushed it off and said she had failed.
That's nothing, it was an accident.
That does not look like an accident. What happened?
Sabrina's cousin could tell she was hiding something.
After pressing her a little bit, she was able to get it out of Sabrina that Troy had hurt her.
Sabrina also admitted it wasn't the first time.
The abuse had been getting more violent as the relationship went on.
You need to do something about it.
I know.
And that was the real reason why they broke up.
She just couldn't take it anymore.
Their sights firmly set on Troy, detectives start digging into the teenager's past.
When the police run a background check on Troy, they didn't find an arrest record.
Troy has no criminal history.
However, they did find something that caught their attention.
3 months prior to Sabrina's murder, Troy had checked himself into a mental institution.
Troy checked himself into the hospital voluntarily for NSSI, non-suicidal self-injury, hurting himself without the intention to kill himself.
To get more details about Troy's mental health issues, detectives talked to doctors at the hospital that treated him.
The staff told them that Troy was battling depression, that Troy had cut himself.
He had sliced his wrist.
We didn't think it was a serious attempt to kill himself.
They didn't believe that Troy was suicidal, but that he wanted to feel something.
They said Troy spent the night at the hospital and he was discharged the next day.
We gave him some medication for his depression, and he checked out the next morning and never came back.
He never received the help that he needed to battle the mental health issues that he was dealing with.
With their suspicion of Troy increasing, detectives return to the station and contact his cell provider.
Troy had showed them his text to Sabrina, but there may have been other potentially incriminating information in his phone.
Police get a subpoena to obtain Troy's phone records. They also are able to obtain his internet records.
Since Troy lives with his parents, detectives also subpoena the video from his family's home security system.
There was a camera in the front and then the camera in the back.
Typically, our home security cameras are rolling all day and night. We want to make sure that our homes feel secure. We want to know what's going on.
The whole purpose of even having a security camera is to capture everything.
But when police review the footage from the Parkers' house, they see that wasn't the case.
What the police noted is that for the date of the offense, the front camera was turned off at approximately, I believe, 11 a.m.
It doesn't start recording again until 8:11 p.m.
The camera at the rear continued recording, but the footage it captured was even more suspicious.
While the camera was running, there was something obscuring the lens.
You couldn't see who was coming in or out of that home. And when the officer rewinded the video, he noticed that on August the 26th, you see Troy Parker take a red towel and cover that particular camera.
There was something that Troy was trying to hide during that time period.
But he can't hide what he's been doing on his computer.
Some concerning things popped up in his search history.
For example, extradition laws.
He had looked up things like how to get a passport, what countries don't have an extradition treaty.
And he was also researching how to rob a bank.
It was clear to detectives that Troy was going to be on the run.
But was he planning something else first?
The most disturbing thing that police found in Troy's search history was that Troy had been researching serial killers.
Was Sabrina's murder the start of a killing spree?
The National Institute of Mental Health estimates that almost 10 million Americans are living with a serious psychological illness. Studies show that the vast majority of the mentally ill aren't violent or dangerous. Only 3 to 5% of violent crimes are committed by people diagnosed with severe mental health issues. Detectives investigating Sabrina Herrera's murder have learned her ex-boyfriend, Troy Parker, had been researching guns, serial killers, and countries without an extradition treaty with the U.S.
It appears that Troy was planning to commit a murder and how to get away with it.
At this point, police have enough to get an arrest warrant.
Based on his search history, they were worried he may kill again.
But before they can get a judge to sign the warrant, they get an unexpected call.
They received the phone call at approximately 11 p.m. that night. It was from Troy's brother.
Troy's brother said Troy has more information for police.
15 minutes later, Troy and his family arrive at the police station. The officers lead Troy into the interrogation room.
Once detectives finish reading Troy his rights, they get straight to the point.
Troy tells officers he wants to confess to a murder.
He proceeds to tell them that he was the one who killed Sabrina.
So what happened? What's wrong with it?
He tells the police that, yes, Sabrina did come to my house that day.
And so she voluntarily came over? I mean, yeah, I asked you to come over. Okay.
There's no way she went to that house thinking, my life's going to end today. No way. Despite the abuse, she did not think that he would go that far.
But Troy says that while she was there, they had begun to argue.
Why are you always disrespecting me?
He felt like she was cheating on him.
How do you know she was with other guys? Because I would ask her, and then I would see it on like social media or something.
We broke up!
Sabrina thought they had broken up, but apparently that hadn't gotten through to Troy.
You know what? Get out!
Troy, seriously?
Get out!
Troy said that he was so angry and so mad at Sabrina that he told her to get out.
But it was too late.
I could feel like my body just, like it was just getting hot, like my body was just getting hot.
As Sabrina is leaving the house, Troy begins to feel overwhelmed with anger.
In that moment of anger, he saw a bungee cord on top of the refrigerator.
He grabbed the bungee cord and he began to strangle her.
Troy, what? Stop!
It makes a damn cluster, so I'm ready to get in.
Troy admits that Sabrina didn't die easily.
Troy told the officers that at some point in time, he stopped strangling Sabrina. And at that point, Sabrina was still alive.
Did she say anything? She said, please.
At that point, he thought, should I stop? But then he said he knew what he had to do. And he continued to strangle her until Sabrina was dead.
Troy says that once he was sure Sabrina was dead, he tried to hide what he'd done.
First, he took the red towel that detectives seen him use to cover up their surveillance camera in the backyard outside.
Then he came back in and dragged Sabrina's body out to her car and put it in the trunk.
Then he drove around the neighborhood, looking for a place to get rid of the body.
I just drove down the street, and I just found a place that was kind of dead end.
That fits with the surveillance video showing Troy parking and fleeing from the scene.
Troy said that after he left the car with Sabrina's body in the trunk, he went home and he burned the bungee cord, the gloves, and his pants in the fire pit in the backyard.
However, while Troy admitted to trying to cover up the murder, he denied planning it ahead of time.
Was it just something that you have been thinking about? I used to try not to think much day to day because I don't know how long my mind is. What do you think should happen to you? I should die.
Most crimes and passions, their conscience gets to them. It starts to eat away.
At the end of the interview, detectives take Troy into custody.
The police arrested Troy for murder, tampering with evidence, and abuse of a corpse.
But will Troy's precarious mental state stand in the way of a conviction?
Based on the evidence and the covering up cameras, his lawyer would have a hard time proving that this was an act of insanity.
There were also his actions after the murder, both attempting to cover it up and ultimately confessing.
He's obviously feeling remorseful, knowing that he did something wrong. A trial is for someone who is trying to prove their innocence.
So, in October of 2019, Troy agrees to a plea deal.
In exchange for pleading guilty, he receives a reduced sentence of 45 years in prison.
It gives him a chance at life after prison. He was 20 years old. 45 years allows him to be released at prison at the age of 65.
There's no number that this defendant can get that's gonna bring your loved one back. He could get 99 years in prison, he can get life in prison. You might feel good for a little bit, but afterwards, your baby girl, she's not coming back.
Although friends and family hope that Sabrina's story and Troy's can help others.
Dating violence in young teens, unfortunately, is very common, but it goes unreported. And mental health, unfortunately, is still very taboo, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And I know that's a touchy subject, but I think it's important as a community and as families, we have those conversations about mental illness. Whether they're uncomfortable, whether they paint us in the best light, it's important that we discuss those things.
Otherwise, the cost may be more than we can bear.
So much hurt and pain reverberates not only through the families, but through the community.
Sabrina was a wonderful young lady. She was loved. You could tell that when Sabrina died, a piece of them died too.
She was cherished by many, she was loved by her family, and she had a legacy to leave the world.
Have you ever experienced a situation where your friends become your family? It's a beautiful feeling, but what happens when betrayal enters the picture? This is the story of a trio of friends, often referred to as the Wolf Pack. Excited about their future until one day, love turned into hate. A dark turn, their once happy home becomes the center of a mysterious and disturbing case. The roller coaster ride of lies and deceit was something no one could comprehend. The question remains, what happened to Delano Wingfield and Leon Young, and what happens when love becomes fatal?
These three friends were more than just roommates.
They were like brothers. You could never pull them apart.
They had like an unbreakable bond.
But behind closed doors, trouble was brewing.
That's when the experimenting started.
Doing a certain drug can change people.
And it would boil over in the most horrifying way.
They discovered a shallow grave.
There were repeated blows from blunt force trauma.
There's blood splattered throughout the house.
It's up to detectives to determine what triggered the bloodshed and who's to blame.
He said it was self-defense.
He killed them in cold blood.
There was something deeper, that secret that was being kept from me.
Who do I believe?
It caught me so blindsided how crazy everything got.
June 8th, 2014. It's Sunday afternoon in Shaw, a bustling neighborhood in the heart of Washington, D.C.
It's this neighborhood that's like a lot of neighborhoods in Washington, going through gentrification.
It was definitely the hot spot to be.
There's like a bunch of clubs and like hookah lounges.
The neighborhood's also full of young people. And Bernadette White has come looking for one of them. Her 23-year-old grandson, Delano Wingfield.
She was very close to her grandson.
But she hadn't heard from Delano in more than a week, which was unusual.
When she didn't hear from Delano, she went over his house just to see how her grandson was doing.
When she knocks on the door, it isn't her grandson who answers. It's one of his roommates, 21-year-old Jeffrey Neal.
Hey, Sway, how you doing?
Hey, Jeffrey.
Delano lived with Jeffrey and their friend Leon Young.
Have you seen Delano? I've been trying to get a hold of him.
She was starting to get a little concerned.
But what Jeffrey says next does little to ease her fears.
Jeffrey told her that he actually was worried. He hadn't heard from Delano and neither had Leon.
How long?
Maybe since last weekend.
Last weekend?
Delano Wingfield, Jeffrey Neal, and Leon Young had known each other since their freshman year at DC's McKinley Technical High School.
McKinley Tech attracted some of the most intellectual, talented kids. And these three young men, they were bright.
All three shined academically, but struggled socially.
They may not necessarily fit in with the jocks, with the popular kids.
They were super into anime. They were super into swords, video games. That was their niche, the nerdy fantasy kids.
They kind of lived to a beat of their own drum.
The three friends dubbed themselves the Wolf Pack. Jeffrey was the alpha wolf.
He was very caring. He seemed to want to make sure everyone was enjoying themselves.
Leon was the fun one.
He was very uplifting, like a joy to be around.
He was the one that could make everyone laugh.
And Delano was the quiet one.
He's a very reclusive guy, just like drawing it back and just paying attention to everything.
He was very peaceful, very chill. He was a really sweet person.
Over time, the wolf pack became more than friends. They became a family.
They became close. They became brothers.
The families cared about each other. Jeffrey's mom would take the wolf pack on ski trips, beach trips, and they would share the holidays together.
They were inseparable.
They even figured out a way to remain together after high school, with a generous assist from Jeffrey's grandmother.
When Jeffrey graduated, I don't know why, but his grandmother gave the house to him.
That house had been in their family for years.
We had this whole house to himself, and he let his friends stay there. It was like extra rooms, and they could help pay for rent.
It was a beautiful dynamic for a young male. Honestly, you can get out, be on your own, and be free, and still have the security blanket of, my grandma owns this, so I don't really have to deal with all of the ramifications that come with dealing with the actual landlord and things of that nature. So it was a pretty ideal situation.
It was close to restaurants and shops and food markets and everything outdoors that you wanted to do. It was definitely the hot spot to be.
Once Leon and Delano moved in, the modest townhouse became a full-fledged bachelor pad.
It was pretty like frat type house. From being honest, like, I mean, it was a house of single guys. People were in and out, going to work, coming back. Maybe you're tired, you don't clean up the room or the living room or the kitchen. Like, it happens.
To pay the bills, Jeffrey and his friends found work waiting tables or washing dishes in area restaurants.
None of them seemed interested in like college or anything.
The wolf pack had other priorities.
Party never stopped.
When you're in that dynamic, 3 guys in their late teens, early 20s, any night could be a party if the right girl or guy calls. It's like, well, can I bring a friend? Or can I bring a friend? And it's 17 people in your house from one phone call.
It was an escape house for all of us. We were still young. We couldn't really go out to like bars and stuff. So whenever I wanted to do something like fun, I would be like, oh, let's go over to Jeffrey's house.
They had girls around all the time. There's a lot of dancing and gaming.
They sit and play video games all night. They sit up and watch Japanese animation all night.
Always a lot of marijuana and alcohol. Just people coming and going all times of the night.
Jeffrey let me, because we were all artists, draw on the walls of his room. So his room just had all this like graffiti on it. It was cool. It was just like no rules. You could do anything.
But it was this Peter Pan world where they never really had to grow up.
But now one of Neverland's lost boys is truly lost.
They had a relationship where they talked all the time. The grandmother and Dylan, they talked frequently. And all of a sudden, she was trying to call him and couldn't get to him.
And according to Jeffrey, he and Leon haven't heard from Delano either.
Do you think something could have happened to him?
I don't know.
Oh, Lord.
She believed something was wrong with her grandson.
She was going to file a missing persons report.
The disappearance of Delano Wingfield will pull back the curtain of a dangerous facade.
There was drama day in and day out.
He had odd behavior and violent behavior.
He had definite anger management issues.
And that became very dangerous.
The investigation reveals a tangled web of secrets and deceit. Stay tuned for the shocking conclusion when we return with more Fatal Attraction.
Since leaving high school, Delano Wingfield, Jeffrey Neal, and Leon Young had been living it up at a Washington, D.C. townhouse.
They turned that house into a party house. If you wanted a good time, you would come over.
We all kind of enjoyed like this freedom we didn't have before. It was pretty wild.
But at the beginning of June 2014, One of the three friends, 23-year-old Delano Wingfield, mysteriously disappeared.
Delano's grandmother hadn't heard from him in a long time, and it's just not normal for him.
When she dropped by the house to check on him, his roommate Jeffrey said he hadn't seen Delano in days.
And by June 12th, after another 72 hours with no further word from her grandson or Jeffrey Neal, Delano's grandmother files an official report with police.
There was a missing person report put out by Delano's grandmother.
She wants someone to help find her grandson.
Once the report is filed, officers perform a welfare check at the three friends' townhouse.
No one was home. No one answered the door. Police took a cursory look around. Nothing seemed amiss. So all they could do was just leave a card in the door.
Detectives also reach out to the families of both Jeffrey Neal and Leon Young.
No one they spoke to had any idea where Delano might have been.
However, Jeffrey's mother does give detectives some disturbing information, not about Delano, but about the third roommate, Leon Young.
Jeffrey's mom confessed to police that her son had been having a few issues with Leon.
What sort of issues?
Well, it's just Leon's got problems.
Jeffrey's mom went on to explain that Leon had had some mental issues in the past.
Do you think he's dangerous?
Based on what Jeffrey's told me, yes.
Jeffrey's mom explained to police that Leon could, on many occasions, become enraged and out of control and aggressive.
Leon even pulled a knife on Jeffrey once.
Really?
Leon was the biggest anime fan. Like, he took it all the way. He had like the knives and the swords and stuff.
Leon, in one of these rages, attacked Jeffrey with a knife.
What's your problem, bro? Put the knife down. No.
He went, as you say, just a little bit crazy. And Jeffrey had to end up disarming him.
I kept telling him to stay away from that boy, to kick him out, but Jeffrey would not listen.
To Jeffrey, it was okay. He didn't find anything to be worried about.
Jeffrey did not heed to the advice of his mother to put Leon out because Leon was acting so strange.
In light of this new information, detectives wonder if they're now searching for two lost boys instead of one.
Jeffrey's mom told police that it's been a few days since she heard from Jeffrey.
If you hear from Jeffrey, would you please let him know we are trying to reach him?
Oh, I will.
Jeffrey's mom told the police that she was a little worried herself.
Leon possibly could have harmed her son.
Detectives can't rule out the possibility either.
They definitely had a few red flags raised. Police asked Jeffrey's mom if she has a key to the Shaw residence. She says that she doesn't.
My brother has a key, though.
She said she'd call her brother and ask him to meet detectives at the house.
It's early evening when Jeffrey's uncle arrives at the townhouse.
As soon as he enters the house, he immediately is hit by the worst stench he's ever smelled.
Oh, Lord.
Sickened by the smell, Jeffrey's uncle waits outside for detectives, who arrive a few minutes later.
It smells awful in there.
Sir, would you mind to wait out here, please?
As soon as they're inside, detectives are sure they are dealing with a homicide.
They could tell the smell was coming from the attic. So they pulled down the stairs and they climbed into the attic.
There, hidden underneath an air mattress, detectives find the source of the odor.
There's a dead African-American, naked young man in the attic.
His face was covered in a plastic bag.
But police could not identify whose body it was.
The investigation reveals a tangled web of secrets and deceit. Stay tuned for the shocking conclusion when we return with more Fatal Attraction.
Detectives investigating the disappearance of 23-year-old Delano Wingfield have just found a dead body in the attic of the Washington, D.C. townhouse he shared with roommates Leon Young and Jeffrey Neal.
Detectives weren't sure if it was the missing man.
His face was covered in a plastic bag. He was completely nude.
This dead body looked to have been decomposing for a few days.
In the stifling attic, detectives carefully remove the plastic bag from the victim's head, but are unable to determine his identity.
There was severe blunt trauma to his head.
While the coroner's crew removes the body from the attic, detectives head downstairs.
They began looking for anything that might have linked to what happened in the attic.
They don't have to go far. Inside Leon's bedroom, detectives find a horrific scene.
Blood just everywhere. Obviously, this murder occurred here, in this room.
Detectives find more blood in Jeffrey's room.
Was this an argument and it went from one room to the next?
Finally, detectives find what they believe to be the murder weapon.
They found a bloody hammer. If somebody is wielding a hammer, that means blood is going to be splattering.
Alongside what detectives have learned from Jeffrey's mother, the clues at the scene suggest a possible scenario.
Maybe after Delano's grandmother came to visit, Jeffrey had confronted Leon about the disappearance and things turned violent.
Unsure of the dead man's identity and still unable to contact any of the three roommates, detectives begin digging into Leon's mental health history.
It was found that Leon had just been hospitalized just a few weeks ago.
Leon had been in the psych ward.
There was a diagnosis of him being homicidal in nature.
And not long after his release, Delano disappeared.
Detectives issue an APB for Leon Young.
Police are wondering, did he murder the man that was found in the attic?
Detectives still don't know just whose body was in the attic, but a surprise phone call the next day allows them to rule out one of the roommates.
Police get a call from Jeffrey's mother. She tells them that her son, Jeffrey, is indeed alive, and he wants to talk.
That afternoon, Jeffrey comes into the station.
Detectives sit down with him, and Jeffrey tells them, "I'm glad you've got your notebook."
Why is that? I got a story to tell y'all.
Jeffrey tells police that the body they found in the attic is that of Leon Young.
Leon? How do you know? Because I'm the one that killed him.
He said that it was self-defense.
According to Jeffrey, it had started as they suspected, after Delano's grandmother came by the house looking for him.
And he attacked you? No, not then.
Later that night, he walked past Leon's room. He saw Leon, stark naked, staring out the window.
According to Jeffrey, he was holding a knife, too.
Jeffrey thought he was having a mental health breakdown.
Leon, are you okay?
Jeffrey says when he asked Leon if he was okay, he turned around and blurted out something crazy.
Leon actually yelled to Jeffrey that he killed Delano.
What are you talking about? I killed Delano. I did it!
Jeffrey tried to take the knife.
Listen, man, give me the knife. No! Give me the knife, man. Give me the...
According to Jeffrey, Leon lunged at him.
He got me right here.
We showed him where his hand had been cut by Leon.
He just kept coming at me.
Jeffrey knew he had to defend himself.
Jeffrey tells detectives that as he retreated, he noticed a hammer that Leon had left by the door.
When he felt the hammer, he grabbed it, he raised it, he swung it at Leon's head, and it just grazed Leon.
So you hit him again? Well, yeah.
That second time, it hit Leon. It struck him clear in the head, and It was forceful enough that Leon fell to the floor.
He said he hit him twice, 2 or 3 times.
But it was enough.
Leon! Leon!
Jeffrey bent down and shook Leon, and that's when Jeffrey knew Leon was dead.
However, after killing Leon, Jeffrey didn't call the police.
He panicked. It was self-defense, but he believed he had to do some jail time.
The only thing he could think to do was drag Leon's body to the attic.
So you put the bag over his head? Yeah. He was bleeding very, very bad.
But other than that, he was completely naked?
Almost.
Jeffrey told detectives that when Leon confronted him, that he was completely nude except for a pair of socks.
Then, once the body was in the attic, Jeffrey had fled.
He grabbed Leon's keys and he jumped in Leon's car and just hit the highway with no destination.
Jeffrey says that as he drove south alone, he'd eventually come to his senses.
He knew he couldn't just leave his friend in the attic. He turned the car around. He went straight to his mom and asked if his mother could contact the police.
But one question remains.
Why would Leon kill Delano?
Well, it's complicated.
Jeffrey said that the wolf pack weren't just best friends.
There was a love triangle between the boys.
The investigation reveals a tangled web of secrets and deceit. Stay tuned for the shocking conclusion when we return with more Fatal Attraction.
"21-year-old Jeffrey Neal has just confessed to killing his roommate Leon Young, whose body police found in the attic of his Washington, D.C. townhouse.
Jeffrey told the police that he killed Leon in self-defense.
Detectives have also been trying to locate the third person that lived in the house, 23-year-old Delano Wingfield. But Jeffrey's confession sheds light on his disappearance, too.
Jeffrey tells police that he killed Leon. After Leon admitted to killing Delano,
I killed Delano.
According to Jeffrey, the reason Leon supposedly killed Delano is even more jaw-dropping.
According to Jeffrey, there was a love triangle involving all 3 of the roommates.
Jealousy between these 3 lovers led to very hostile feelings.
Jeffrey tells detectives that the 3 friends, who'd called themselves the Wolfpack, hadn't always been lovers.
That is so true. The Wolfpack in high school were all platonic. There were never any sexual contact.
But Jeffrey says that after a year of living together under the same roof, his friendship with Leon had evolved.
Well, me and Leon, we was just messing around.
Jeffrey tells police that they never set out to be in a relationship together, that it just grew over time.
I think that Leon probably saw it as a more serious relationship, whereas Jeffrey saw it as a casual thing.
Despite his reservations, Jeffrey says he did little to hide his relationship with Leon.
They would hold hands and walk together at times.
And Delano, what did he think about you and Leon?
He was cool with it.
However, Jeffrey does say that being in a relationship with Leon was a constant struggle.
Jeffrey painted this picture of a man who was struggling with his own mental illness and drug use.
He was angry and he could become aggressive.
Throughout Leon's downward spiral, Jeffrey says he'd stuck by his friend.
He believed in him and he just wanted Leon to be on his meds.
Jeffrey told detectives that Leon wouldn't always take his medication, so he kept getting worse.
It built over time. It was definitely subtle changes. He was not the person that just wanted to see people happy. To me, he wasn't himself anymore.
Jeffrey says that even he couldn't deny it after the incident with the knife.
Leon did pull a knife on Jeffrey, and Jeffrey did in fact disarm him.
It just became very, very scary.
After that incident, the relationship between Jeffrey and Leon got strained.
Jeffrey began to distance himself from Leon, and in doing so, that left the door open for him to lean more on Delano.
Eventually, they'd done more than talk.
Delano experimented with him, and they had sex.
Once again, Jeffrey said it was more of a friends with benefits situation.
He probably wasn't very serious about any relationship that went on in that house.
But according to Jeffrey, Leon saw things differently.
Jeff! There's always something I tell you. What, man? Calm down. Be cool. I know what's going on.
Leon was very controlling of Jeffrey. He didn't want Delano hanging out with his lover, Jeffrey.
Does that explain Delano's disappearance?
They had already found out about Leon's history of mental illness, and everything seemed to check out just as Jeffrey had said.
However, there are a few things about Jeffrey's story that don't quite add up for detectives.
They couldn't understand why there was blood in Jeffrey's bedroom.
Although, considering all of the blood in Leon's room, it was quite possible that Jeffrey had tracked it into his own room.
Jeffrey's description of Leon's body is also puzzling.
Jeffrey mentioned that Leon had been wearing socks, but when detectives found his body in the attic, he was barefoot.
For the moment, detectives are willing to overlook the inconsistencies.
Remember, this is a 21-year-old kid, and it just killed one of his best friends.
Everything seems, in their eyes, legit.
So that was enough for the police to let him go.
Really? I can go?
We'll be in touch.
And if you hear anything about Delano, you'll let me know, right?
He was very concerned. Delano wasn't just his friend. Delano was also Jeffrey's lover.
You'll be one of the first people we contact.
But when detectives follow up with the Wolfpack's friends, they'll discover a secret about Jeffrey he'd rather have kept hidden.
Leon wasn't the only one in the group who lashed out in anger before.
No one ever suspected that either of them would have turned on the other.
He hit him and kept punching him.
The investigation reveals a tangled web of secrets and deceit. Stay tuned for the shocking conclusion when we return with more Fatal Attraction.
24 hours after police discovered Leon Young's bludgeoned body, his roommate and lover, Jeffrey Neal, has just confessed to killing Leon in self-defense.
Jeffrey told authorities that Leon came at him with a knife.
However, what happened to Jeffrey's other roommate and lover, 23-year-old Delano Wingfield, is less certain.
Jeffrey told detectives that Leon confessed to killing Delano shortly before his death.
Leon was jealous of this relationship that Jeffrey was also having with Delano.
Given Leon's history of mental illness, detectives suspect Jeffrey may be right.
You're free to go.
He had been let go after the initial interview by the police.
The next morning, hoping to corroborate what Jeffrey told them, detectives begin the grim task of reaching out to the trio's friends who were shocked by the news of Leon's death.
I didn't know what to think. It was devastating.
They were like close friends. I never seen that coming.
For some, the love triangle between the roommates is just as much of a shock.
I didn't know that they had a sexual relationship.
However, other friends aren't so surprised.
I picked up hints that they might have been, more than friends.
One friend actually walked in on Leon and Jeffrey having sex.
All of the trio's friends do share stories of Leon's odd behavior.
Leon was doing weird things like painting the wall black in his bedroom.
I witnessed the knife marks in the walls.
He was high-strung, easily irritated, easily agitated.
Friends tell detectives that Leon's drug use included PCP and only added to his instability.
PCP was one of the drugs that Leon allegedly used.
It made him different, made him lash out. Doing a certain drug can change your brain chemistry or your mood.
Friends had also seen signs of Leon's aggression toward Jeffrey.
When I saw Jeffrey, he had a black eye, apparently from Leon lashing out on him.
Another friend confirms Jeffrey's account of the previous incident, where Leon had come at Jeffrey with a knife.
He did see this one time when Leon pulled a knife on Jeffrey and tried to attack him.
Give me the knife. Jeffrey was able to get the knife off of Leon.
However, the friend adds a new detail that Jeffrey had left out.
Leon was subdued, and Jeffrey at that point just went off on him and he started wailing on him.
He hit him and kept punching him.
According to some friends, the love triangle wasn't the only source of tension in the wolf pack.
When you live with someone, even though you love them, things start to bother you. Jeffrey, since he ran the house, felt like he wasn't being respected. People were trashing the house.
At the same time, Delano and Leon were often just as frustrated with Jeffrey.
So they were paying Jeffrey rent, but Jeffrey wasn't using the money to pay the bills. There was often times when, unfortunately, the utilities were cut off, and that was a source of frustration.
And the romantic tension between the three friends only turned up the heat.
You could tell that, this could get very bad. This could turn dark.
Tensions in the house had just gotten to a boiling point.
In fact, friends tell detectives that by the end of May, the wolf pack was on the verge of splitting up for good.
Last that I heard from Leon, he wanted to get his own place and just be independent.
Leon essentially felt like he could do better off by himself.
Friends say that Delano was also looking for an exit.
I'm not sure which direction he planned on going, but I know that it was a better one than Dan and Jeff's house.
Delano did not want to continue that lifestyle, just wanted to move on with his life.
After years of being the leader of the pack, Jeffrey was about to be the lone wolf.
Which left detectives wondering, could their potential plans to exit the wolf pack have played some role in Leon's death and in Delano's disappearance?
Even more questions arise when detectives get the results of Leon's autopsy.
The medical examiner confirmed that the body was indeed Leon's.
However, little else in the report backs up Jeffrey's story.
Jeffrey had told the police that he had struck Leon Young 2 to 3 times.
The medical examiner report showed that Leon had been struck in the head with a hammer as many as 25 to 30 times.
Detectives already had reports from friends about an incident where Leon had attacked Jeffrey with a knife. And Jeffrey managed to wrestle the knife away from Leon, but he still continued to punch him repeatedly.
Was it possible things had gotten similarly out of hand? Not according to the autopsy.
According to the medical examiner, Jeffrey likely killed Leon while he was sleeping.
Hitting someone as many as 30 times is not self-defense. That's murder.
But is Leon Jeffrey's only victim? On the morning of June 16th, detectives returned to the townhouse in Shaw.
While they are searching the house, in the backyard, they discover a shallow grave
They find who they believe to be Delano Wingfield. There's blunt force trauma to the head, very similar to Leon's body.
But unlike Leon, Delano isn't entirely naked.
He was wearing socks.
And the police were like, wait a minute. He talked about Leon having on socks, but it turned out that Delano had on socks.
The investigation reveals a tangled web of secrets and deceit. Stay tuned for the shocking conclusion when we return with more Fatal Attraction.
On June 16, 2014, 4 days after police found Leon Young dead inside the Washington, D.C. townhouse he shared with Delano Wingfield and Jeffrey Neal, detectives have just made another gruesome discovery.
They find in a shallow grave in the backyard another young man's body.
Dental records confirm that the body is Delano, and the autopsy suggests he's been dead for some time.
Delano was killed 2 weeks before Leon.
Detectives believe Delano's cause of death may also suggest his killer's identity.
He died pretty much in the same fashion as Leon, with blunt force trauma to the head.
He, too, had been hit repeatedly, between 20 to 30 times.
But for detectives, the biggest red flag is a simple pair of socks.
When police found Delano's body, he was nude, but he was wearing socks.
Jeffrey told the detectives that when he killed Leon, Leon was wearing socks. So Leon's body was barefoot.
Had Jeffrey committed both murders and actually made the mistake of forgetting who wore the socks and who didn't?
That was enough for the police to charge him to both murders.
When detectives officially charged Jeffrey with both murders on June 17th, the news divides the Wolfpack's friends and families.
I don't know his reasoning, but from what I can gather, it had to be that. It had to be the lover scorn. I don't want this situation to change. He didn't want to lose that, and he was willing to kill for it.
Others remain convinced that Leon was the real danger.
From what I know about Leon, it's easy for me to believe Jeffrey.
When Jeffrey goes on trial in July of 2017, the prosecution downplays the fact that the three friends were also lovers.
Prosecutors decided to gloss over the whole love triangle.
Instead, the prosecution focuses on Jeffrey's role as leader of the Wolfpack.
It was Jeffrey's house, and so Jeffrey wanted to keep that control over his roommates. And what he was seeing was that his roommates were beginning to take control of their own lives.
But according to the prosecution, Jeffrey saw his friend's growth as an act of betrayal.
Jeffrey didn't want anybody to outgrow him or to leave a position where they were dependent on Jeffrey.
Leon and Delano was basically pulling away from this friendship. That's what prosecutors are saying drove Jeffrey into this violent rage.
Based on his autopsy, prosecutors believe Delano was Jeffrey's first victim.
Jeffrey killed Delano sometime near the end of May, although the exact circumstances weren't entirely clear.
It had to be a rage. It had to be like it's a blackout fit of rage.
After the murder, Jeffrey buried Delano's body in the backyard before cleaning up the crime scene.
Based on the DNA testing of the blood found inside the house, the prosecutors believed that Delano died in Jeffrey's room.
Jeffrey may have missed some blood, but prosecutors believe several days passed before Leon became suspicious.
When Leon started asking questions about Delano, he knew he had to do something.
He had to keep Leon from talking.
Jeffrey waited until Leon was asleep. He came in his room and he killed him in cold blood.
Then he'd stashed Leon's body in the attic and gone on the run.
The prosecutors theorized that once Jeffrey's money ran out, he ran back home and decided to bluff his way through this, claiming self-defense.
The things in the police interview, when he downplayed the number of times that he hit Leon, would seem to come back to haunt him at trial.
On top of Jeffrey's lies, the prosecution says the detail of Delano's socks suggests that Jeffrey also couldn't keep his murder straight.
Prosecution basically said that Jeffrey mixed up the two.
When it's the defense's turn, they claim that Leon is the true villain of this story.
The defense was that these two murders happened as a result of Leon in a jealous rage, that he is the one who killed Delano.
And according to the defense, Jeffrey was lucky not to suffer the same fate.
To believe that Leon attacked Jeffrey, consistent with his odd behavior and violent behavior that he exhibited for years.
The defense said if he had not fought back, he would have been killed by Leon just as Leon killed Delano.
We talked about Leon's erratic behavior and mental health episodes.
But will that be enough to sway the jury?
They found Jeffrey Neal guilty of murder of both Leon and Delano. And he was eventually sentenced to more than 60 years in prison.
Today, the Wolfpack's friends remain divided on whether Jeffrey got what he deserved.
Honestly, justice doesn't tend to work a lot of times. So for justice to actually prevail this time, I do appreciate that.
I feel like they didn't really give his defense a chance. I feel like they just wanted to lock someone up for
This gripping case has come to an end, leaving many with questions about why someone would deliberately turn on their chosen family. We may never know what happened between the friends, but we do know that Delano Wingfield and Leon Young are missed and will continue to live on in the memories of their loved ones. Coming up on the next episode of the Fatal Attraction Podcast.
He was a hardworking immigrant striving for a better life.
He was just a hardworking individual, took care of his mom, took care of his family.
With a new wife and baby at home, all his hard work was worth it.
He'd literally break his back just to make ends meet, to make her happy. The sky was the limit.
But it all comes crashing down.
They shot the guy 3 times in his house.
He was bleeding out.
In a busy city known for its high crime rates, Alicia Murray, a concerned wife, hears a disturbing noise at home and frantically calls for help for her husband. The mystery unfolds. What will the detectives uncover? What happened to Omar Murray, and what happens when love becomes fatal? Tune in to the next episode of the Fatal Attraction Podcast. We will see you in the next episode. A highly successful young mother with a flourishing nursing career has gone missing, leaving her family devastated. What happened to Corey Key? What happens when love becomes fatal? This is the Fatal Attraction Podcast with a key witness.
She was a hardworking mother on the verge of achieving her dreams.
She continued her education and she received her LPN license.
She rose to the occasion.
She was succeeding in life.
She'd been successful in love, too.
They were going to get married.
He's there for the family. He's a part of her life.
But before she can celebrate her success, a killer crashes the party.
Her friends and her plan a wonderful trip to Ontario.
She never made it. Her father found her body.
There was a large amount of blood in the tub and around the scene.
Was this a random attack, born of opportunity?
She lived in a high crime area.
She was ambushed right there in the garage. Maybe there's a predator out there.
Or had he been there all along?
He had become obsessed.
Wait, what? It was eating away at him.
He's not stable.
She's so afraid of him.
If someone says they're going to kill you, believe them.
July 31st, 2004. It's a warm Saturday evening in Toledo, Ohio, a Rust Belt city on the eastern end of Lake Erie.
It's right by the Great Lakes, and pretty much a blue-collar, hard-working town.
The nickname of Toledo that I've heard since I've grown up here is Little Detroit, and there's a lot of commonality between those two cities.
And like its larger neighbor, Toledo also struggles with high crime.
Toledo kind of experienced what a lot of Rust Belt cities experienced, which is crime began to rise in Toledo.
There were some violent years. They've had an increase in crime, just like most major cities in the country.
The rising crime rates are in the back of one worried Toledo resident's mind as he lets himself into the home of his daughter, 26-year-old Corey Key.
Several people had called and received no answer from Corey.
Corey not responding to their calls would have automatically sent alarm because it was just not like her.
Corey, it's your dad. The dad becomes worried, so he goes to her home.
Especially since he knows Corey had big plans that weekend.
Her birthday is approaching. Her birthday is August 2nd.
She was going to go on a trip with all of her girlfriends, and no one can find her.
Corey, you home?
Not far inside, he immediately senses something is wrong.
When he entered, he smelled the odor of gas.
What is going on?
He hears running water.
Corey, is that you?
But once he finds the source of the running water, Corey's father makes a horrifying discovery.
She was on her stomach in the tub and it was filled with water.
There was a large amount of blood.
She was not moving and she seemed to be unresponsive.
Oh my God. It's my daughter.
Corey's father wastes no time calling 911. But is it already too late? 26-year-old Corey Key was an inspiration to everyone that knew her.
She aspired to do great things. She had a bright future ahead of her.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Hey, Corey.
Everyone loved her. She had a very close friendship circle. She was very close with her family.
With the loving support of her family and friends, Corey had overcome every obstacle in her path, including becoming a single mother when she was just 18.
Corey had unexpectedly gotten pregnant during her senior year of high school.
The relationship with her child's father hadn't worked out. And while he did still help her care for the child, he had gone off to play college basketball.
Getting pregnant in high school, obviously for anyone, is going to be a challenge. But that didn't seem to stop Corey.
She continued on, she graduated.
Life as a single mom hadn't held Corey back either.
She eventually went on to take courses at a community college.
Corey decided she wanted to become a nurse because she knew it was a solid profession that would allow her to support her son.
Corey was well on her way to a thriving nursing career, but she still felt like something was missing.
She longed to meet someone she could share her life with. But between raising her child and going to school, Corey didn't have much time for romance.
That is until she met 31-year-old Damian Bowles, and she began to think maybe she could make time in her life for the right relationship.
He was older and seemed to be a little bit more mature. He owned his own business.
He seemed to be successful.
There's that instant spark. He's everything that she's looking for.
It would make sense that Corey would be attracted to someone who also seemed goal-oriented.
Corey and Damian took things slow at first, but fate had other plans.
It was a light, casual relationship, fun, energetic, nothing really serious, until she became pregnant with Damian's child.
In the spring of 2001, Corey and Damian welcomed a baby boy into the world, and along with her other son, they became a family.
Damian, he's there for the family. He's a part of her life. They move in together. They're living a life as husband and wife in essence.
But after 2 years together, the pressures of supporting a family and building a career started to take a toll on Corey and Damian's relationship.
She got a job at a Toledo hospital as a licensed practical nurse and started setting her sights on the next steps, doing the coursework that she would need to become a registered nurse.
She aspired to do so many things, and it appeared that she was leaving him behind.
Damian was really jealous of Corey. He was jealous of the fact that she was getting her education.
As Corey's career continued to rise, her relationship with Damian continued to deteriorate. And by April of 2004, he'd moved out.
In spite of the breakup, Corey and Damian were determined to stay on good terms with one another for their child's sake.
As always, Corey didn't let the setbacks stop her.
She had her own income, and she did have support of family and friends.
She was a great mom and was determined to give her kids the best life, whether she had a man by her side or not.
By the end of July, Corey was ready to make another fresh start by planning a girls' trip for her upcoming birthday.
So her friends and her plan a wonderful trip to Ontario. They're going to a casino right across the water from the city of Detroit. They're happy, they're excited.
She was leaving her kids with her mom for the weekend, and she was just going to have a fun, carefree time as a newly single woman.
But now, on the day they're supposed to leave, Corey's father has just discovered his daughter unresponsive in the bathtub of her home.
It's my daughter. I think she's dead. There's blood everywhere.
Her father reported that she had been shot.
But is that really what happened? When officers first arrive at the scene moments later, they're not entirely sure.
Corey had apparently bled out in the tub. Officers thought they could be dealing with a suicide.
Although after examining Corey's body, detectives rule out both a gunshot wound and a suicide.
It appears she was stabbed underneath the arm.
This was intentional.
Corey Key had been murdered.
Is the predator on the loose? Stay tuned as detectives get one step closer to solving this shocking crime. Tune in for more of the Fatal Attraction podcast.
After a recent breakup, single mom Corey Key was ready to make a fresh start and celebrate her upcoming birthday with her closest friends.
She had planned with her friends to go on a short vacation and just have a good time.
This is a time for her to get away, enjoy her friends.
Instead, on the day Corey was supposed to leave town, officers have responded to a 911 call at her house.
The call came in from her father as a person shot.
But further investigation reveals that isn't the case.
She had been stabbed, and she also had bruises on her body. This was a very violent, brutal attack.
She suffered blunt force injury to her head, lacerations to her face.
But there was no knife anywhere near the scene.
When homicide detectives arrive, they hope the killer has left behind some physical evidence. But based on the scene, that doesn't seem likely.
If water is mixed with DNA, then it makes it almost impossible to get a sample.
Recovering DNA from underneath Corey's fingernails will likely be a challenge, too.
Her nails were clipped. They were cut very low.
While Corey's body is transported to the coroner's office for an autopsy, detectives begin examining the rest of the house.
Though she's in the bathtub, there's blood on her bed, on the mattress, on the sheets. So they determined that, in fact, she was killed there and the body was taken to the bathtub.
The question that police had to ask at that point is, was someone trying to cover up evidence?
Based on what else detectives find at the scene, they determine they're lucky to have any evidence left at all.
The gas was left on in the stove. The door to the stove is left open.
Someone not only turned on the gas in the house, but lit candles in what was an obvious attempt to destroy the scene.
This definitely would have concealed the fact that Corey had been murdered.
Luckily for detectives, the candles had burned themselves out before the gas could build up inside the home and spark a fire. Once they finished an initial survey of the scene, detectives turned to Corey's father in hopes of learning more about their victim.
I'm terribly sorry about your daughter, sir, but can you answer a few questions?
The sight of his daughter there lying dead, it's just amazingly sad, just absolutely devastating for him.
Although still distraught, Corey's father tells detectives that his daughter was supposed to be celebrating her upcoming birthday.
Corey had plans to go out of town with her girlfriend, so she was preparing for her trip.
Do you know when she and her friends were planning to leave?
Yeah, they were supposed to leave this morning, but they went out here in town also last night because she didn't have her kids with her.
The night before, she had dropped her kids off at her parents' house because they would be babysitting them while she was away.
They go out, they have dinner, they're very excited about their plans for the weekend.
About 10:30 p.m., Corey left the girls and went home. They had plans to meet up the next day.
But the next morning, Corey wasn't answering her phone.
Her friends had tried several times to get in contact with her. No one could reach her.
Corey's dad said that after her friends called him, he tried to reach Corey, and when he couldn't, he went to the house then himself to check on her.
I've got a key, so I went in. And that's where I found her.
Detectives next ask Corey's father about her personal life.
They want to know of any enemies that she had, especially if he knew of a relationship that she had that may be a little rocky or may not be on the best terms right now.
He says that Corey was in a relationship with a man named Damien.
He's the youngest boy's father, but I don't think they see each other anymore.
Corey's father told police that they had broken up a few months prior.
He said that as far as he knew, the two had stayed on pretty good terms since the breakup for the sake of their son.
What about her other child's father? He's still around?
Yeah, he keeps in contact, but he's overseas right now.
Corey's older son's father played professional basketball in an international league.
So Damien, do you have his phone number?
Yeah, he called me earlier today.
Damien had reached out to him to see if he had seen Corey.
Damien had also tried several times to reach Corey, but he was unsuccessful.
He seemed worried about her.
Despite that, though, detectives will still need to talk to him in order to rule him out.
When a woman is the victim of a homicide, the man in her life is the next person you want to interview.
However, before reaching out to Damien, detectives expand their search to the home's detached garage and uncover a chilling scene.
Once they get to the garage, they notice that Corey's car door is open and that all of her belongings from her purse are scattered about.
It appears she was ambushed right there in the garage.
A scene like that, an investigator would always think of the possibility that a sexual assault had occurred.
Is the predator on the loose? Stay tuned as detectives get one step closer to solving this shocking crime. Tune in for more of the Fatal Attraction podcast.
Detectives investigating the murder of 26-year-old single mother Corey Key are trying to determine if she was the target of a sexual predator.
It looks like someone was waiting for her, waiting to attack her.
She was ambushed right there in the garage.
It appeared that she had maybe wrestled with someone.
Maybe there's a predator out there.
At that point, they had to investigate to find out if there was a sexual assault involved.
Hoping for a lead on any suspicious activity in the area, detectives turned to Corey's neighbors.
The next step in an investigation of this nature would be to canvass the neighborhood to find out if they saw anything.
It's not as easy as one would think. This is a high crime district. Neighbors aren't always willing to speak to you out of fear that the person who did this will come after them.
But thankfully, the woman who lives next door is able to give detectives some helpful information.
The next door neighbor heard the dog barking in the early morning hours, about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then she actually heard a woman scream.
She also says she may have actually seen the intruder earlier in the evening.
Corey's neighbor told police that around 10 o'clock that night, she noticed that someone was at Corey's house on the outside messing around with her window.
Someone had attempted to break into the home.
She was not able to identify who that person was that was tampering with the window.
But she says she did see the person walk away from the house, get in a car, and drive away.
She couldn't make out a license plate.
She said she couldn't tell anything about the car, other than it was some sort of dark-colored sedan.
Did you call the police?
No, but I told Corey.
You talked to her?
Yeah, when she got home.
A neighbor, in fact, did speak with Corey around 10:30, 11 o'clock on that night.
She said when she saw the lights come on, she went over, knocked on the door, and told Corey what she saw.
The neighbor's information takes detectives by surprise.
Initially, police thought that Corey was attacked in her garage after she had arrived home from dinner.
Now police are confused because Corey, in fact, made it home safely. She's inside her home.
You talked to her?
And then at least 2 more hours passed before she started hearing screaming.
What happened in the 2 hours before she was killed?
Between the scene in the garage and the reported screams at 1 a.m., it seemed that Corey must have left and come back. But why?
Hoping to get a better sense of Corey's last hours, detectives reach out to the 2 friends she'd had dinner with on the night of the murder.
They've gotten information from Corey's father that Corey was last seen with her close friends, Myra and Tasha.
Detectives ask both women to come to the station for formal statements. Myra Hodges arrives first and confirms that she, Corey, and Tasha had gone out that Friday night.
They had had dinner and everything was good. Everyone was happy.
We didn't stay long since we had to leave for Canada in the morning.
She left roughly around 10:30, and that coincides with what the neighbors said, that Corey returned home somewhere around 10:45 to 11 o'clock that night.
Myra says shortly after arriving home herself, though, she received a panic call from Corey.
She actually got a call later that evening around 11:30 from Corey.
Wait, what?
Corey calls her and tells her that the neighbor came by and told her that she saw someone break into her home.
Where are you?
Corey was scared enough that she had actually driven to another nearby friend's house and called Myra from there.
I kept asking her, was she okay? She said she was, but I think something was wrong.
Myra could tell that Corey was very shaken up, that she was very upset and very scared.
Do you know if the intruder got inside?
I'm not sure.
Nothing was missing, so Corey didn't think that she had been robbed.
Despite that, Myra says she'd urged Corey to spend the night at her friend's house.
Myra pleaded with Corey, do not go back to your home. She was scared for her safety.
But according to Myra, Corey insisted that she'd be okay.
Corey tells her, I want to check on things, I want to get things in order.
Myra said Corey also told her she needed to finish packing for their trip. So even though she was nervous for her friend, she eventually let her go.
There have been other break-ins in the neighborhood, and I think she maybe minimized it because of the neighborhood.
But Myra tells detectives that she's convinced this was no random neighborhood crime.
I think I know who did it.
Is the predator on the loose? Stay tuned as detectives get one step closer to solving this shocking crime. Tune in for more of the Fatal Attraction podcast.
Myra Hodges has just told Toledo detectives she suspects she may know the person who murdered her friend, 26-year-old Corey Key.
She tells the police, you need to look at Damien.
Damien was her ex, who had moved out at the end of April, about 3 months before the murder.
But Myra says things had changed between them long before that.
After Corey and Damien moved in together, that's when their relationship began to take a turn.
Corey was working hard to achieve her goals. And according to Myra, Damien was starting to resent all the time that Corey devoted to things other than him.
She was a professional. She was an LPN. She was succeeding in life.
And in his jealousy, he belittled her. He would make her think that if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be able to do any of the things that you've done.
When Tasha Johnson arrives at the station, she details for detectives how Damien's verbal abuse wasn't the worst of it.
She said he became controlling. He really started to isolate her from her loved ones.
Did you personally ever see him be violent with Corey?
No, but he was violent with me.
Tasha tells them about an incident that occurred in April, shortly before the breakup.
They're at a bar. Damien and Corey, they argue. Tasha takes Corey home. Now, when Tasha returns back to the bar, she sees Damien and he says to her, I am gonna go back and beat her ass.
Tasha says she was worried about what Damien might do, so she followed him back to Corey's place.
She goes to the door. Damien actually answers the door. And at that point, Damien curses her out and he actually punches her. He punches her, he slams the door.
Tasha had called the police.
When we get there, we see the injured girlfriend of Corey's on the porch.
She told me that her friend's boyfriend had hit her. I mean, she got hit pretty good.
Despite that, Tasha wasn't worried about herself. She'd called 911 out of concern for Corey.
She explained to us that Corey was in the house with him and she's not sure if she's safe.
Seconds later, the officers hear screams from inside the house.
The way she was screaming, he was hitting her or beating her. Police, open up!
Normally, we don't kick indoors or attempt to kick indoors based on two people fighting. And this one it was a life or death situation.
So my partner, Jason, tried to kick in the door.
Get back. I kicked the door 5, 6, 7 times, and it just wasn't going to go down. It was a steel frame door.
Eventually, Damien had opened the door.
Is there a problem, officer?
He was immediately put under arrest because of what we could hear from the outside. My thought that night was if we weren't there, she would not have been alive. He was going to kill her.
When we were rolling away from there, taking him to jail, For that moment, I felt okay that he was away from Corey and she had that support system of at least her friend at the time.
After the incident, Corey's friends say she had followed up with the legal system.
Corey files a police report for domestic violence, and she files for a PPO, which is a personal protection order against Damien.
He has no legal right to be around her, to come and get anything out of the house or have any kind of contact with her at all.
Now that Corey is dead, detectives have to wonder, did Damien stay away? Or was he the killer who had been lying in wait?
He gave me those bad vibes, like something wasn't right with him.
With all signs pointing to Damien as their suspect, they finally reach him and ask him to come down to the station.
Thank you.
They bring Damien in for questioning.
Once he sits down with detectives, Damien begins by explaining his complicated relationship with Corey.
Well, we had our ups and downs with this relationship.
They had a rocky relationship, sometimes off and on, but Damien tells them that they were getting back together.
It's a birthday weekend, and then the weekend after, we was going to Vegas to get married.
That sounded very different than what the police had been hearing.
Her parents knew they was getting married and stuff too. Hell no, that's the problem. She don't tell them what's going on because they none of that side like me.
Detectives aren't entirely sure they believe him, but they can't dismiss his claim entirely.
Ending a relationship with an abuser is hard.
It was certainly not unheard of for someone to file a protective order only to later reconcile.
Corey did have a child with Damien, which makes it very hard for her to cut all ties.
When's the last time you stayed there with her?
Thursday.
Thursday night into Friday morning.
Damien tells detectives he never saw Corey after he left her house Friday morning.
I called her. I couldn't get a hold of her.
When did you start trying to call her?
Somewhere around 9, little after
9 o'clock when?
At night. Oh, this was in the evening.
Damien says that when he couldn't reach Corey, he'd gone by her house.
When?
Right after the first time I tried to call her, somewhere around 9, 9:30, 10.
This was around the time the neighbor indicated that she saw someone break into her home.
Did you try and get in the house?
No, I tried to open the screen door, it was locked.
Did you try any of the windows or anything?
No.
You didn't?
Damien said he merely waited around a few minutes, hoping Corey might come back. Then he left.
Damien says that after leaving Corey's, he'd gone out for a few drinks.
He claimed he was at a bar in downtown Toledo watching a fight.
I was there from like around 10, maybe a little after, till just before 1.
That places Damien at a bar around the time that this murder would have occurred, which means Damien could not have done it.
That is, assuming he's telling the truth.
Come straight on that. Did you kill her, man? No, not at all.
He presents himself as very worried about the situation and worried about who has done this to Corey.
So who want to do anything to her, man, if somebody did something to her? I can't think of a single damn person.
All detectives can determine for now is that Damien doesn't appear to be their killer.
I actually went to that bar and spoke with the owner of the bar, and he said that he had arrived at, I think, 11 o'clock at night, watched this fight.
They questioned the manager, they questioned the bouncer, and they all say yes, that Damien was there at the bar.
After they checked out Damien's story, police had to start from scratch.
Is the predator on the loose? Stay tuned as detectives get one step closer to solving this shocking crime. Tune in for more of the Fatal Attraction podcast.
Detectives investigating the murder of 26-year-old Corey Key believe they are on the verge of finding her killer.
Corey had been the victim of domestic violence in the past. There was some prior incidents with Damien Bowles.
So now the police have a possible suspect, right? This was someone who was violent against Corey.
But after bringing Corey's ex-boyfriend in for questioning, their investigation suffers a serious setback.
Damien has an alibi, not just an alibi, he has a strong alibi.
I can prove I was at the bar watching the fight from about 10 o'clock to 12:31. I was at the bar.
Damien told police that the night that Corey was murdered, they had been in a bar all night. They went to the bar, they talked with some people that had been there, and he had an airtight alibi.
They're back to the drawing board.
When detectives received the results of Corey's autopsy the following morning, it appears to rule out one other possibility.
They learned from the coroner's report that this was not a sexual predator. There was no evidence of a sexual assault at all.
And just as detectives feared, there are no traces of the killer's DNA under Corey's fingernails.
Your natural fingernails weren't cut way back. When you see something unusual like that, like the victim's fingernails being removed, it goes back to common sense. Someone took the fingernails off to try to destroy evidence.
It also suggests that person may have been no stranger to Corey.
This was someone who was not just intent on killing Corey, but making sure also that no one would ever find out who killed her.
So that makes you look even harder at the person you have as a suspect in a domestic dispute.
Was it possible Damien had slipped out of the bar without anyone noticing?
The bar had no type of video surveillance or anything like that.
Over the next several days, detectives talk more with Corey's friends and family, digging deeper into her relationship with Damien.
Several friends reported that Corey was fearful of Damien.
Most of the time when you hear about domestic violence relationships, they're kept very private. No one knows about it. You may suspect it, but no one really knows. It's not something that is done in public, it's done behind closed doors. But in this case, Damien was so violent, not only did he do it in front of others, he was also abusing Corey's friends.
The more witnesses we talked to, the more background we did, they all pointed at this individual.
They have a gut feeling that this is Damien, but they don't have enough evidence.
We didn't have an eyewitness seeing him leaving the scene of the crime. So there was a lot of circumstantial evidence, and you take these cases to trial, and you have to prove proof beyond reasonable doubt.
As an investigator, there's a big difference in what you know and what you can prove.
Unwilling to risk an acquittal, detectives continue to work the case.
It was never abandoned. The case was never shelved and stuck in a drawer.
They tried everything they could. They put out a $5,000 reward to try to get information on who could have possibly done this, but unfortunately, they got no other information.
2 years go by, there's no new evidence to go on.
The case going cold really put the family in this state of limbo. It leaves them with not being able to move on or even grieve in the way that they could had she received the justice that they knew she deserved.
I was hoping and praying it wouldn't be cold forever.
In December of 2006, 2.5 years after Corey's murder, those prayers are finally answered.
We had a witness come forward.
The witness's name is Paul Brown.
He lived near Corey Key and was actually interviewed by police when they canvassed the neighborhood after her body was found.
There's some things I didn't tell y'all.
He knew that he had information that could potentially give Corey justice, and it ate away his conscience.
He actually heard the suspect threatening to kill the victim.
Paul was able to put Damien at the home when Corey was murdered.
Is the predator on the loose? Stay tuned as detectives get one step closer to solving this shocking crime. Tune in for more of the Fatal Attraction Podcast.
More than 2 years after Corey Key's murder, A neighbor has finally come forward to tell police what he knows about the day she died.
Paul Brown told detectives that he had overheard a conversation between Corey and her ex, Damian Bowles, that sounded pretty threatening.
I seen her on the porch on the phone, and I can tell she was talking to Damian.
When was this?
This is about a week before she died.
She's on the phone at that moment with Damian, and she tells Paul, hey, he's talking about killing me.
Did you hear Damian say that?
Well, not directly, but I did see him the night that she died. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Paul was able to put Damian at the home when Corey was murdered.
Why did you wait 2 years to tell us this?
I'm scared.
After the victim had been killed, the suspect came back to him and threatened to kill him.
Paul says that's why he kept his silence for so long.
He knows that if Damian has killed Corey, he would kill him without question. He knew what he was capable of.
But after 2 agonizing years, he tells detectives he can no longer stay silent.
I think that having sat with that information for so long, it just ate away at him.
Paul's story is the missing piece that detectives need to make an arrest.
The police are satisfied that they have their killer.
2 long years after Corey's death, Damian Bowles is finally arrested.
For any policeman, it's a very satisfying feeling, and getting some justice for the victim.
Given a second chance to come clean, Damian initially plays dumb.
It's been 2.5 years. What do you think happened to her? That's hard to say because I don't know.
Damian basically repeated what he had told the police 2 years earlier.
Hey, I wasn't even at that home. I was away. I was at a bar.
But this time, the detectives know that's not true.
We've got your timeline, and there's a few little problems with it. Mainly, you're lying. And you know you're lying. You say so.
And when detectives confront Damian with the evidence they have against him, he remains defiant.
We had a witness seeing you leaving the house after they heard a woman scream. You're in trouble. Well, charge me with this girl on the way. I'll be down 6 months.
In July of 2007, 6 months after Damian made his prediction, he goes on trial for murder.
Prosecutors told the jury that Damian basically terrorized Corey. It got to a point that Corey kicked Damian out of the house and ended the relationship.
The most dangerous time for a domestic violence victim is at the conclusion of a relationship.
But according to the prosecutors, it was Corey's plans for the weekend that pushed Damian over the edge.
This trip with her girlfriends was the ultimate sign of freedom for Corey. She was in control of her life again and felt like, I can go and do things, I don't need him.
He's losing control, and that's what abusers don't want. At that point, he may have decided, I gotta do something.
Prosecutors believed that he went by her house, checked her doors and windows, but she wasn't home. So he left and started forming a plan.
While Corey was out with friends, Damian decided to go to a bar to establish his alibi.
He sat at the bar, he talked to people, and made sure that they saw him.
At some point while Damian was at the bar, Corey arrived home, where her neighbor told her someone had tried to break into her house.
She was scared, so she fled to a nearby friend's house and called Myra. But she eventually calmed down enough to return home.
In the meantime, Damian had quietly slipped out of the bar and made his way back to Corey's, where he hid in her garage.
She gets home, she parks in the garage.
You think you could just go off without me?
Damian, what are you doing here? Why are you in my garage with that knife?
She was ambushed.
He held her at knife point and forced Corey into the house.
He had violently assaulted the victim in the bedroom.
She was stabbed, she was thrown in a tub, she was left for dead.
He cut her fingernails. He turned on the gas in hopes of starting a fire or an explosion.
He also tried to intimidate the one witness who could put him at the scene of the crime.
That witness filled every gap there was.
It took him more than 2 years to come forward, but Paul Brown did take the stand as the prosecution's star witness.
Damien's defense basically tried to discredit the new witness.
But in the end, it only takes the jury 5 hours to reach a decision.
Damien's found guilty.
Damien had fooled a lot of people during his lifetime. He had convinced them that he was a good guy, a stable guy, but that day he did not fool the jury.
He is sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 15 years.
Those who helped put Damien in prison hope that day never comes.
This guy went to extreme measures to terrorize this young woman and to kill her, and then extreme measures to get away with it. So I would hope they would take that into consideration if he comes up for parole and see fit to keep him in jail.
And none of them will ever forget Corey Key and her tragic death.
Corey did everything that she was supposed to do. She did it all right.
Corey, she tried to take all the proper steps.
She actually kicked Damien out of her home. She was moving on with her life.
And it just, didn't work out for Corey. It's heartbreaking.
It leaves that feeling with everyone. What could I have done? What could I have done differently to save her life?
It has become increasingly evident that sometimes cruel individuals will appear in disguise when it comes to matters of the heart. The untimely loss of a vibrant and compassionate young mother, Corey Keyes, who selfishly devoted her life to others, serves as a painful reminder of life's fragility. Coming up on the next episode of the Fatal Attraction Podcast.
An unexpected payout gave them a fresh start in a new city.
He got a really substantial settlement.
They have very nice big house.
It was just a better living. It was quiet, it was peaceful.
But a single gunshot will shatter the illusion.
He had been shot execution style.
It was terrible.
An accident transforms the life of an ambitious man and his family for the better. However, deceit and evil soon follow, shattering the once picturesque life. What happened to John Stanley? Tune in to the next episode of the Fatal Attraction Podcast. We will see you in the next episode.